Ladies and gentlemen, I am Yusrael, and welcome to part 6 of Clingin On. For the very tiny minority of you who are wondering why it's been so long since part 5, well, there was a small matter of 63 hours worth of night shift that I agreed to do like the idiot I am. I have really got to say no to my boss one of these days, or at least learn how to. Anyway, on to the meat of today's episode. I'm not going to plough straight into the Davidian arc, I'll leave that probably until part 7. Rather, we're going to deal with the Empire defense missions today. Now, those of you who have never done a Klingon side character won't be too familiar with these. Basically, they're the equivalent of the Federation's Star Cluster missions, except that there's only one kind of mission involved, and you'll be oh so happy to hear that in true Klingon fashion, it involves blowing up lots and lots of people who aren't us, which is really what counts in this game, honestly. These were intended mostly as time fillers in between PvP bouts back in the good old days. How good they were I leave down to you, when Klingons had nothing but this and PvP bouts to while away the time. Now that things have moved on, PvP is much less important than it was, and is probably going to stay that way, honestly, until they can actually throw some serious dev time at it, because right now it's horribly broken. These have become one of the principal dilithium grinds for Klingon captains, but more on that later. Federation frigates, as you've seen earlier, are pretty standard enemies. I mean, we've blown tons of these up, even in earlier missions. Federation cruisers, bit tougher, ditto the battleships. They are equipped with tracked beams and will use them, so have something like polarized hull or attack pattern Omega handy. Science vessels are a little more annoying. If you're going to be going with these, be advised that they have two principal tactics. One is that they will pop feedback pulse almost immediately. You can see it engaging there, the blue shimmer around the hull, and if that wasn't enough of a giveaway, the fact that I have now got big blue bolts of pain coming back towards me. Their other principal ability is tachyon beam, there we go. So if you're dumb enough to get in front of one of these at higher grade difficulties, expect to start losing your shields in fairly short order. Luckily, they're science vessels, so while their shields are fairly tough, their hulls tend to crumple fairly rapidly once you're through the shields, and they don't have too much in the way of firepower. Certainly they've nothing outrageous like, say, an escort. That said, if you're dumb enough to rapid fire one of these with full cannons right at the start of the fight, and you don't wait for feedback pulse to wear off, well, you deserve everything you get, and it's likely going to be painful. Needless to say, of course, you don't want to be stood next to the explosions either. Now, what else? Obviously, we've got Cloak. The missions are structured in the same way. All you have to do is wipe out 6, well, technically they're squadrons, but if you're solo, a lot of these things will be single ship units. The missions do scale according to the number of people in the map, so if you're in with a team of 4 or 5, you can expect to run into somewhat tougher opposition. On the other hand, they'll still go pop fairly rapidly. Something else to cover is why I consider sitting still and just blazing away with the front guns to be a very bad idea. Watch my bonus defense percentage. I'm going to come out of Cloak, line everything up, and you'll see it drops rapidly once we come out of Cloak and go visible. And once the Typhoon locks its tractor on, there we go. Defense is suddenly down to 2.6%. It'll come up again once I get polarized hull going. There we go, we'll clear the tractors back up to 48%. That is why, ladies and gentlemen, it is a very bad idea to be sat still if you are in an escort or a bird of prey. Because you are going to not only get hit more because your defense stat is so low all of a sudden, but because in this game excess hit does not go to waste, it translates into critical chance instead. Oh gods, we're getting nibbled to death by shuttles. You are going to get hit harder as well. which is why I've always been slightly surprised by people who choose to just go all stop and just blaze away with their forward guns at a target. Just keep moving even slightly, just alternate forward and reverse bit, quarter forward, quarter aft, and you'll keep your defence up. You'll still keep your forward guns on the mark if it's a static target, and you'll generally have a bit more survivability if something decides to turn around and shoot you straight away. Which, let's face it, if the tanking cruiser isn't doing a decent job of getting aggro, is likely going to happen shortly after you pop rapid fire and high yield. That has been your daily survival tip, courtesy of Yusril, and hopefully I'll see at least some of you following it. But given the average viewership of these videos, chances are I won't. Right, now we've got through the missions, so we can go back and speak tomorrow, but let's just finish these irritating little sods off. Gods, I hate subships. They're not necessarily a threat in and of themselves, particularly not at this difficulty level, but they are so annoying to hit. I think that one actually did more damage when it exploded on us. Oh well. Right, wait for the red alert to wear off. And yes, I'm aware I could have just battle-cloaked and evaded away to break this earlier, but hey, this character's still levelling and every little bit of skill points and expertise helps. Alright, warp drive engaged. Let's just quietly go turn this one in. As I said, these are the equivalent of star cluster missions. You can see the various anomalies dotted around. It used to be the case that those were occasionally duds. There were some dud entries on the database, but they seem to have more or less disappeared, or at least I didn't hit one when I was filming this. Now let's turn this in. So it's just about done. Hail KDF. As you can see, we've got a fairly generous wad of skill points and some dilithium on top. Now, that's the tutorial mission. That's just one lap around. I'm going to ignore that Borg distress call because, frankly, even in a commander level ship, I haven't really got the guns to make a useful contribution. Now, you have the main mission. This is the repeatable version. It's on a 20-hour cooldown, and as you can see, the dilithium reward is basically tripled. The catch, of course, is that you do have to do the 6 waves 3 times over, so it pretty much works out. There are 4 of those missions, so once a day, that is 1440 times by 4. Yeah, 5,920 dilithium if my mental arithmetic's correct. So pretty much most of what you're going to grind up. Just do 1 contraband turn-in, that's up to 7.9k. You've pretty much made your daily limit unless you're a heavy, hardcore veteran and have access to the refiner. Romulan frigates go pop just as easily as Federation ones. I have no idea what is up with this map. I think I'm just going to have to avoid looking in that direction. Somebody really needs to turn down the lighting on that nebula. Now, the other 2 ships you're going to run into, particularly solo, are the Doderidex battleship and the Mogai class escort. They've got their own little party pieces. We'll start with that Doderidex, although given how close they are, I think we're actually going to wind up fighting both of them, which could be interesting. So let's blitz the Doderidex first. Rapid fire, fire my mark, just don't go for some rapid damage, try and knock down its shields. Beam overload missed, fortunately. We're almost through its port shield. And yeah, shield power ourselves just to soak the worst damage. Oh dear. Right, for those of you who are wondering what that noise in the background is, and why we are suffering random system failures all of a sudden, ladies and gentlemen, the Doderidexes have viral matrix, along with photonic shockwave and a few other toys. They are basically heavy cruisers with a solid science bent to them. Fortunately, we don't have Doderidex defenders to worry about, or this mission would be a true pain in the neck. The Mogais are classic escorts, very heavy front armour, but they've only got really light turrets at the back. However, their party piece are those little things, cloaking tractor mines. So basically what happens is it dumps the mines, they lock you up, and then it swings around and blows you away with its front guns. In theory, of course, mines being mines, they tend to fall over fairly rapidly. Blitz through all of that, and let's try this on a little bit more difficulty. Because normal mode's all very well and good, but it's nice to have a challenge now and again. The difficulty levels, ladies and gentlemen, by and large, just give you higher numbers, bigger numbers. In STFs, they do introduce a couple of new mechanics, of course, but we'll cover that. Oh, God, I have no idea when we're going to get around to that. Not for a long, long while. However, in the star clusters, you're looking at bigger numbers and ship injuries, or at least the chance thereof, if this goes wrong. So let's see if we can find some Federation to blow up. Yeah, that wasn't too difficult. So as you can see, identical map, identical ships, and here we go. The AI is not particularly sophisticated, it won't do anything new, although that emergency power to engines is fairly rare out of a Starfleet frigate, and you can see that they're folding fairly quickly, but they're still not quite as tough as elites, and they're actually putting a decent dent in the forward shield, which they weren't doing before. Not that it's helping them, got a little too close to that when it exploded, but not the end of the world by any means. Attack pattern alpha, swing back, and again just blitz away, hammer through one of the shield arcs, and swing onto his 6 to finish the job. Nothing complicated there. This, of course, is all just to lull you into a false sense of security. You'll notice it's 17 skill points for that kill. Normal mode, I believe, is about 12, so that's a solid boost. Advanced difficulty is really a little step up. If you know what you're doing, it's not going to be a serious challenge. Unless, of course, you're stupidly overconfident and try and take 3 squadrons at once, in which case, hey, you're an idiot and you deserve everything you get. Now then, this cruiser I'm actually going to treat with a little bit of respect for once, so we're actually going to employ some proper tactics. Of course, blitzing away with cannon fire outside of about 6 kilometers isn't really proper tactics, since the damage fall-off on cannons is quite sharp past about 5 km out. Polarized hull to break the tractor beam. Good thing too, some of that actually hurt. You'll notice that it's coming up with immune. That's obviously the tractor effect failing to get through the polarized hull, and that I'm manoeuvring to repeatedly hit the port shield rather than having to hammer through all 4 and just wasting damage. Obviously, if the cruiser had tactical team or the computer was rebalancing its shields like any good player would, this would be a little bit tougher. However, there goes its engineering team. Now, it's not really trying to protect that shield. Like I said, the AI is not especially smart, so that's going to leave it vulnerable to a torpedo hit. And if cannons are about to come back, doesn't matter, it's dead. You'll also notice that we're getting some slightly better quality loot. Might actually hang on to that. Depends what ship I decide to run next time. But since that wasn't much of a challenge, let's go for elite. Gods, I must be some sort of masochist. Someone's going to be laughing at the end of this, and I don't think it's going to be me. 22,000 hit points on the frigates. You can see that they're doing a ton more damage all of a sudden. I'm having to actually rebalance and watch my shield indicators, even against a pair of frigates. So this is an under-strength squadron. I remind you of that. And they've got about 22,000 health each, compared to the 17,000 or so on advance. And I think it's about 12 to 13,000 on normal. Bear in mind, those of you at level 51, if those numbers sound low, we are only at level 28. So things are a little bit adjusted for that. So as you can see, it's definitely soaking up more of a beating. So have they got higher resistances on these on the sly? Doesn't matter, it's still dead. Alright. Let's go and find something a little more of a challenge. I'm going to regret saying that, aren't I? Okay, that looks promising. Alright, so switch to impulse, engage the cloaking device, and we have got a Typhoon battleship. Now, there is a little bit of a problem with polarized hull, and you'll probably see it come into play fairly rapidly in this fight. Load up the weapon skills, drop the cloak, and pop. So we'll use shield power just to boost resistances a little and again balance forwards. Now, as you can see, we're having a much harder time getting through its shields. They're just generally tougher. Use fire on my mark. Again, we'll just try and enhance damage. You'll see it's doing a much more aggressive job of stacking its speed. And there is the problem with polarized hull that I mentioned. It is on the same cooldown as hazard emitters. If you use polarized hull, it's 15 seconds until you can use hazard emitters, and vice versa, which can get annoying, particularly at this stage where, courtesy of a rather limited number of both options, that's actually the only hull heal I've got, and oh wow, we're actually taking some serious damage here, aren't we? Alright, swing back, eliminate this quickly. There we go. Double loot drop, including 1 green, so let's just nail that. Wish those were disruptor cannons. As it stands, I'm not going to be able to get much use out of them because, of course, my primary energy console is, yes, you guessed it, disruptor focused. So Tetrion weapons wouldn't get anything from that. Anyhow, we're out of combat. Crew are repainting the hull and bolting things back into place. We'll cloak quickly just to ensure we don't get into an accidental fight. Hull is just about coming back up. Could use auxiliary power to boost up hazard emitters, but there's no point. That said, it does serve to illustrate just how much of a difference auxiliary power makes to the effectiveness of the hazard emitter ability. So that's boosted its 10,000. At the attack power setting, which is only 25 plus bonuses, well, it's not even a fraction of that. I think you get about 3,000 max. Same again now. Oh god, I've been an idiot. And remember how feedback pulse was an annoyance? Well, you saw what that just did. Considerably nastier, which is why I tabbed escape just to break target lock and stop my weapons from firing, retarget to get it going again. And yeah, even science vessels hit pretty hard at this difficulty. I should really be popping hazard emitters right about now, but I'm not thinking straight. There we go. And again, my manoeuvring's sloppy as well, mostly because I'm not, as I said, I'm not thinking properly. It doesn't help that science vessels are actually fairly manoeuvrable. They can't quite turn with an escort, but they'll certainly turn better than a cruiser. It's a bit of a struggle to try and keep things on. Oh god, this is gonna hurt. Can I get hazard emitters into play enough? No, that thing's gonna swing around. If it gets torpedo shot off, there we go, bang, yeah. Ouch. As I said, in Elite, even the NPCs have to be treated with a certain amount of respect, and if you don't, you are going to die horribly. So, we have picked up an injury. Let's see, I think that's... Yep, it's an impulse engine hit. Now, let's just cloak up for a second so we don't get into a fight by accident. Ship damage, for those of you who aren't familiar with it. As you can see, we now have -2 power to engines until I can get either back to a starbase or use a minor component to fix it. I don't have any minor components with me, and I'm not toddling all the way back to Kronos to get that fixed just yet, so we'll just live with the -2 engine power for a bit. Courtesy of weapon skills, I'm still going to have enough there to keep me mobile. Now, 2 frigates. This ought to be fairly easy pickings. Don't think there's anything in range. Right, off we go. Weapons charge, Alpha, stand by, go, go, go. And what the hell? Where did that come? Oh my god, there was a wing of fighters behind me. I'm an idiot. Oh god, it's 2 groups. This is not going to end well at all. So, blitz the frigates quickly, take down the easy targets, which is ironic that the fighters are actually more dangerous and harder to kill. But we'll kill the frigate very quickly, just to knock down the amount of damage we're taking. In fact, this might be a bad idea. Nope, battle cloak isn't working because they're close enough to see through me. Lesson number 2, horrible lesson number 2, is that the cloaking device does not work within a certain radius and your shields are down. Unless you wish to reenact the key scene from Generations. Be a safe distance away from enemies when you engage your battle cloak, ladies and gentlemen. And we're about to get nibbled to death, aren't we? Yeah. Oh, ouch. Gods, this is humiliating. And of course we'll have picked up another impulse engine hit. Of course these stack, so we're now at -4 power to engines. Yeah, we're going to be spending some time in dry dock after this. Right, now then. Okay, we're back at the start. The 2 frigates have respawned, but we can deal with that. Again, cloak and set up into position and just hope that this isn't going to make too much difference. Line up the weapon skills. And yep, here we go. Cannons, torpedoes, tac team, cloaking device off, and go. Okay, nothing too spectacular there, but wait a sec. Okay, that's the Miranda, so that's expected. We're just about through his buddies. Wait. Oh no, not them again! Oh, God, I swear they weren't anywhere near the last kill. So did they toddle all the way over, or did I just not go as far as I thought I had? Right, try to evade past, break some of their arcs. Now hopefully I can turn around, try and get scatter volley in, and try and catch a few of them. Pop. Miss, 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 miss. This is why they are such a pain in the arse. Cryptic, if you are listening, please can we have a point defense console on the Klingon side? It would make life so much easier, given that the Federation are now making heavier use of fighters. Yes. That would be good. A flak frigate. I don't know what kind of thing you do. Disruptor auto turrets would be a little samey and unimaginative. Oh god, that hurt. Well, I'm going to die again, aren't I? Yeah, yes, I'm going to die again. Here comes that torpedo. Partabeh. Most definitely Partabeh. And now they're camping me. The scheming little devils are camping! Ugh. Right, cloak. Quickly, before they notice. Where are you, you wee sleek timorous currin beasties? Right, there they are. They will pay. Oh yes, indeed, they will pay for this. They do not know, they do not suspect. Where did I leave my AoE skills? Scatter volley, scatter volley, scatter volley. Check the range. Attack alpha, scatter volley. Below the cloak. Die. Revenge. I know you're supposed to solve it cold, ladies and gentlemen, but I'll take flambéed and plasma hot. It tastes just as good. My name has been Yusril, and after that epic display of failure, ladies and gentlemen, if there's a next time, I'll see you then.